A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Today I will be bringing into light social and economic justice and Ali's governance. Social and economic justice is a subject which has always remained very close to the heart of the people. Never has the subject lost sight of those who value divine commandments. In fact, social justice is always considered a paramount for achieving a humane society. We saw this paramount pillar of a humane world order, and it was always challenged by adventurers throughout the history. But then there were saviors of this principle who went to the extent of sacrificing their lives in order to protect this concept. It is not only a concept or an idea, it is a lifeline of the creation of God on this earth. This lifeline is often threatened, challenged, abused, snatched, stolen, thieved by force and by terror, and that too by a tiny ambitious minority. But something seriously went wrong in Muslim history after the death of the Prophet. We remember that common people had embraced Islam with the promise of a social and economic just society. But unfortunately, those who had entered into the fold of Islam were under threat of losing power. These were the political converts. They left no stone unturned to erase the foundation of a Muslim society based primarily on social order. This onslaught of Islamic principles was bravely and promptly challenged by the house of the Prophet and Ali. And Ali himself was the first in line of the divine duty. The acceptance of caliphate by Ali was not for any worldly glorification, and his family, as none needed it. It was only to lay the strong foundations of good governance based on a social and economic just society without any fear or favor. William Muir writes in his book, Annals of the Early Caliphate, I quote, "No bed of roses was strewn for Ali. Both at home and abroad, rough and anxious work was before him." He further writes, "Endowed with a clear instinct, warm in affection, and confiding in friendship, he was from the boyhood devoted heart and soul to the Prophet. Simple and unambitious, when in after days he obtained the rule of half of the Muslim world." Yaqubi, the historian, says that after the inauguration of Sasa bin Sahan Abdi, a companion of the Prophet said to Ali, "By God, you brought honor and glory to the caliphate. The caliphate has not brought honor and glory to you. You have elevated it by accepting it. It has not elevated you. You didn't need it. It needed you." Another historian, Khatib Baghdadi, has quoted Ahmad bin Hanbal saying, "The caliphate was not an ornament for Ali. He was an ornament for the caliphate." In his very first address to the people after ascending to the caliphate, he categorically put forward his agenda of social and economic justice. He said, "O Muslims, you have given me your pledge of loyalty. I know that I am to you. I have not done so without forethought. Yet your aims and my aims in the tasks lying ahead of us may not necessarily be the same. Many among you are hoping that I will give them rich estates or high ranks in the government. This is something that will not happen. Remember, there are two ways of life, the right and the wrong. Some of you will adopt the right way, and others the wrong. You are free to choose, but if you see that a majority has adopted the wrong way, do not be dismayed or surprised. It has often been like that, but justice and truth will triumph. In the end, even if a given moment that may appear to be defensive, O Muslims, I call upon you to assist me in my program of reconstruction. God is a witness to my statement that my paramount objective is to restore justice in the house of Islam, just as is his wish that I do so. I shall not rest until I have destroyed injustice. Listen to this with attention. I will not be partial to anyone, whoever he may be. In my sight, all of you are equal. My mission today is the same as it was at the time of the Messenger of God, Muhammad, may God bless him and his family. And it is to establish or to re-establish the kingdom of God on this earth. Sayyid Ali Asghar Rizvi, in his book, A Restatement of the History of Islam and Muslims, writes about the first speech of Ali that the men of perception could sense that Ali's government was going to be of a very different style from the government of the past. Not only in style, but in expression and emphasis, but also in character, substance, and philosophy. They sensed that there was going to be an absolute and qualitative difference between them. They knew that he would check the erosion and corrosion of private and public standards of morality. His ascension to the caliphate, therefore, was not welcomed by the guardians of a social system, the underpinnings of which were privilege and force, and laxity and license. Ali's ascension to the caliphate was very welcomed by another class of people, the one composed of the poor and the destitute, the disabled, the powerless, the exploited, of those who lived in fear and terror. The members of this class knew, as if by instinct, that Ali would give them freedom from fear and poverty. They knew that given the opportunity, Ali would work on the whole ecology of Muslim society, and he would change it. The rhyme, the tilt, and the tenor of his speeches lighted little candles of hope and new idealism in their hearts. And they could foresee that he would revive the political heritage of Muhammad and the Prophet of God. Ali served those he ruled. While speaking on Ali's code of governments, a famous Christian jurist, Abdul Masih Antaki, he was also a poet and a philosopher, says, "It is by far a superior and better code than the ones handed down by Moses and Hammurabi. It explains what a humane administration should be like and how it is carried on. And it justifies the claims that Muslims and Islam wants to introduce a divine administration of the people, by the people, and for the people. And it decrees that a ruler should not rule to please himself, but to bring happiness to the ruled. No religion before Islam ever tried to achieve this. Ali must be congratulated for having introduced these principles in his government, and for having them written down for posterity. His most exalted of these written documents of good governance is the one to his governor of Egypt, Malik bin Ashtar. This is regarded as the finest charter of governance by all thinking minds of all ages, since the last 15 centuries. Jordak writes in his book, Voice of Human Justice, we do not come across anyone like Ali, who compelled those who had become rich and powerful by unlawful means during the period of former governments to render their accounts of their earnings and to return to the public treasury the wealth which they had earned unlawfully. This brave action by Ali proves that he had immense knowledge of the state affairs and had such perfect faith in social and economic justice that he was not possessed by anyone else. Ali endeavored to safeguard the rights of the people to the utmost extent. Whenever he took the decision that none could make to deviate him from this decision, he did not care if the people deserted him and joined the enemy. He always said, all of you are slaves of God and the wealth which belongs to God and will be divided amongst you equally. Who works harder and is also more needy is entitled to a larger share. None enjoy preference over another. Needless to say, Ali's justice had earned him innumerable enemies who were dying to see him dead. Ali himself said, look at my time in the future, when my merits, so far not recognized, will become manifest, and you will recognize me when you miss me and find me in another place. Today, we all are in a serious need of social and economic justice and the search of Ali. Thank you for taking the time to listening to this proposition about Ali's governance, and Khuda Hafiz.